All right, so in this quick tutorial, I'm going to try to chew on the Davis-Moore thesis, which is one of the major theories that tries to explain, stratification. The other being a conflict-critical explanation and also a symbolic interactionist explanation. So I'm actually going to chew on this in detail. So I'm going to actually move beyond this particular slide real quick, and hopefully this will let me click. Sometimes it doesn't. Yes. Something that's very important is not to confuse the Davis and Moore thesis with the general concept of meritocracy. I've seen a lot of students make this basic mistake. Meritocracy doesn't need any economic explanation, whereas the Davis and Moore thesis does. The Davis and Moore thesis is more similar to a supply and demand kind of argument. It bases it on an economic explanation, but meritocracy as a concept, when sociologists talk about it, means that people argue that your social status is a reflection of your own ability and how much you put into it, right? So people who are meritocratic believe that the rich are really deserving and the poor are, for instance, undeserving. And it is based off of a merit principle, right? The kind of individual effort that went into it or individual attributes that were part of it. So that's a meritocratic idea. It should not be confused with the Davis and Moore thesis, which again uses economic explanation. So let's go ahead and chew on the Davis and Moore thesis just a little bit. Basically, it would argue, look, you can't have a perfectly equal society. That's just utopian. And there's a reason why some people get paid more and why some people get paid less. And society has to sort of organize an incentive structure. And one of the arguments made by Davis and Moore is, if a job is scarce and there's a high demand for it, then society is going to probably reward it more and pay it more than a job that is in abundance or the skills to do that job everybody could do, right? So then there's reasons why there's inequality because of the different skill sets that people might have. And these are all based on economic principles, right? Purely economic principles. So Davis and Moore are not conflict critical thinkers. They don't believe in the idea of class. They just believe in the idea of economics, you could say. So the example that I usually use is this one on the next slide. This would be common way that someone who's coming from a Davis and Moore perspective would argue. On the left side, you have a surgeon, right, medical doctor. On the right side, you have someone that is working at a fast food place or at a Subway putting together a sandwich. And pay differentials can be explained that society will pay the physician more because it's difficult to do that kind of a task. It takes a lot of training, right? So people then argue that justifies why the physician should get paid more, whereas the sandwich artist at your local Subway, right, that kind of skill is easily learned, and there's an abundance of people that could do it. So that's a basic principle also of kind of the supply-demand argument that people will make. Okay, these are all just based on the way that market functions, and the way the market functions explains why there's differences of incomes. Right? Now I am going to criticize this perspective here real quick because I don't ascribe to the Davis and Moore perspective, but I know its basic points. So, and this will also be another podcast that I will make. You know, if you think about the arguments that are made in Davis and Moore, there are a lot of things, for instance, like hard work, that it doesn't always matter how much hard work you put into it. It could also be based off of your social status, right? It could be that you're privileged. It could be that you're born into a wealthy family, and you inherit a lot of connections, or you inherit a lot of property and wealth, and that sort of determines your social standing. And so that's one critique. If you're coming from a conflict perspective, you know that you can't just really push it off and say it's purely economics. There's also some political aspects of wealth creation and the social reproduction of class, for instance. So I don't want to go too far, but I just wanted to give a little summary of the Davis and Moore perspective, and also chew on the difference between Davis and Moore and what meritocracy is.